So I run an email and SMS marketing agency, and one of the biggest ways that I generate leads, cash, money is through the use of my newsletter. Now I use Beehive, and I've made a video reviewing the platform entirely on my other YouTube channel. Highly recommend you check that out. But in today's video, I'm gonna talk about the ways that I generate revenue through the use of my newsletter. I'm not gonna be talking about how I grow my newsletter. That's gonna be a separate video. But let's get into it. As it currently stands, I have about almost 3,400 subscribers on my newsletter. In that newsletter, and there's a link in the description down below, I talk about how I do email and SMS marketing, strategies I use, and I also promote things. The ways that I generate revenue from that newsletter are as follows: direct ads from Beehive, sponsored posts, and also generating clients. And then the fourth way is promoting my school community. So let's go into the first one. I use Beehive to write my own newsletter, and this video is by no means sponsored by Beehive. But one of the functions that Beehive actually allows you to utilize is they have like an ad network. And in that ad network, they give you a list of potential advertisers that'll promote, or you can promote, on your newsletter. So when I send my newsletter, I can insert an ad from somebody on Beehive. And typically these ads will pay me money when somebody clicks on the ad. For example, I think right now there's Roku. Roku is sponsoring basically posts within newsletters. And I can include an ad into Roku, or rather in my newsletter, pushing people to Roku. And every time somebody clicks that ad, I get paid $3.20. But the revenue, or how much you can get paid, varies from advertiser to advertiser. But here's the thing, this source of revenue by no means makes me a bunch of money. In fact, the amount of revenue that I generate just from this covers the expense of Beehive itself. I've probably made about, since starting my newsletter a year ago, $400 to $500 from these sponsored posts within my, or rather ads with my newsletter. It covers the bill of the platform itself. That is not really where the real money is. Where some of the real money is actually other people paying for featured newsletters. So if you are a part of my newsletter, we have a bunch of people or softwares that come to me who want me to promote them in my newsletter. Now, I typically charge anywhere between $500 to $1,000 US for a featured post in my newsletter. And since my newsletter comprises of people who are email marketers, e-commerce businesses, agencies who want to do email marketing, the value of my audience is so much because it's so targeted and specific to a software tool's audience demographic. They know that they want to get in front of my audience. And so that post is worth so much to them because it's so focused on their target or key demographic. And so I'll charge anywhere between $500 to $1,000 for a shout out in my newsletter that features them. Now, really important though, if you're doing this, make sure it's super clear to your audience that you are actually doing a paid advertisement. Trust is so important in this space. And if you're trying to be sneaky with stuff, like native advertising, it can erode trust really, really quickly. So what I always say to my advertisers is, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna give a full run through of your tool, but if it's gonna be paid, I'm gonna have to disclose that this is a paid newsletter, and I'm gonna be fully transparent about that, and I'm gonna give my honest opinion. And sometimes that honest opinion isn't super glorifying to the platform. It's happened before, but they still pay because they're getting the exposure. That's the second way that I generate some pretty significant revenue actually. I've probably made about, in the lifetime of my newsletter, about 10,000 US from sponsored posts on the newsletter. So well worthwhile. Just really important that you disclose sponsored posts to your audience. Really, really, really important. Really quickly, sorry to interrupt the video. I just wanted to tell you something really cool that we've started doing with Inbox. I've actually created a school community where I teach you anything and everything I know about email and SMS marketing, from really advanced campaign strategies to how to simply set up your Klaviyo account, all the way to building really, really cool automations for the back end of your e-commerce store. Whether you're a business owner trying to learn how to do email marketing or an email marketer trying to learn how to become a better email marketer, there is a link in the description to this school community where I teach you everything I know. Check it out, it's worthwhile. Book a call to have a chat with me to see if you're a right fit for the community, and if you are, I'd love to get you in there. Anyway, sorry for interrupting your video, let's get back to it. The third way is direct client acquisition. So my newsletter is all about email and SMS marketing, and more often than not, in my newsletter, we have people who are e-commerce businesses. And by consistently putting out educational content, guides, strategies, all sorts of stuff, basically like my YouTube channel, there's a link in the description to my email marketing channel where I focus on email and SMS marketing. By providing that education, I continuously position myself as an expert in my field. And what ends up happening is I essentially just position myself as an expert, but by constantly sending out newsletters, I send out 2 per week, I'm having a conversation that hopefully hits people at the point when they need email and SMS marketing. And so by constantly being in people's inboxes and generating that awareness, what I'm doing is I am trying to target somebody at the point when they need email and SMS marketing. And so usually like only a really small fraction of your audience is ready to buy at an exact time, but by sending out enough emails over a period of time, you're hoping that you're gonna hit them when they're ready to buy your product or service. And so with email and SMS marketing, by sending my newsletters out, I am positioning myself as an expert, yes, but I'm also trying to constantly associate or hit people at the right time to when they're ready to buy. So direct client acquisition is massive. Now, I don't actually directly say, hey, hire me for email marketing. I just give as much value as I possibly can in my newsletter and hope that the audience or the customer comes to me. Now, from my newsletter, we probably get about 4 to 5 clients every single year, right? Directly from my newsletter because they're just ready to buy at that time. And when you think about 3,400, 3,300 people on the newsletter, that adds up. And those clients, the LTV of them is anywhere between like $10,000 to sometimes $30,000. So I generate a significant chunk of my revenue from direct client acquisition from my newsletter. The other thing to note too is that you need to have multiple touch points in the client acquisition channel to convert somebody. So right now I make YouTube videos, and then those YouTube videos drive people to a newsletter. The newsletter then encourages them to check me out on LinkedIn. And what ends up happening is you have multiple touch points with a potential client that eventually converts them. So while we do get direct clients from the newsletter, we also get clients from things like LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube, but that's because it's a touch point that the newsletter has driven them to then book the call. So the newsletter supports direct client acquisition, but it also supports the other channels which help me get clients as well, right? It's all like a system that bumps around with each other and eventually drives somebody to becoming a client. That's like a huge part of it, right? Like it's a touch point amongst many touch points that make them become a client, which is why I say, you have to be kind of active on a few different platforms for all of this stuff to work. Because a newsletter plus a YouTube channel, it's not like 1 + 1 = 2, right? The compounding effect of those is like 1 + 1 = 5. The effectiveness of having 2 platforms for client acquisition multiplies rather than adds, right? Like if LinkedIn on its own is 1, YouTube on its own is 1, but then having 2 is not, the efficacy isn't 2. I hope this is making sense. I'm losing my mind here, but the efficacy isn't like 2, it's like 5, because you're hitting people there, and it just gradually, just continuously builds that trust, and you're everywhere at that point. And so the moment somebody thinks email marketing, I'm on Gavin's email newsletter, I've also been watching his videos, I'm gonna go to him. Building a newsletter is one of the best things you can do for your business. I'm just saying. The 4th way that we generate revenue from my newsletter is by promoting the school community. For those of you who want to become a better email and SMS marketer, odds are you've probably already seen the ad where I talk about that here, but I promote my school community within my newsletter as well. That drives people to then become a paying member of the community, and that's where I make reoccurring revenue from that as well. So the school community is promoted within my newsletter pretty much on a regular basis, once per week really, where there's a direct call to action where I educate people, and then I say, hey, if you want to learn more, check out the school community. The school community is a new thing that I've launched at the time of recording last month. So that's something that we have yet to prove out. I mean, currently we're making about 700 USD a month from the school community, but that's a new thing that we've launched. So those are the 4 ways that my newsletter helps me generate revenue, okay? Direct ads from Beehive, sponsored posts on the newsletter, direct client acquisition, and then pushing my school community. If you're thinking about starting a newsletter, you absolutely should. I will say, for the school community, the newsletter has been the best thing for me because we've built up so much trust within that newsletter. We've talked so much about email marketing. We've educated people so much that trust has been built up over a long time to the point now where it's so much easier for us to sell. If you're thinking about building a newsletter for your business, you absolutely should. I think everybody should have a newsletter and everybody should have a YouTube channel as well. And I've made a video about that separately. But you need a place that you can own your audience. And the newsletter is perfect because on LinkedIn, it's a rented audience. On YouTube, it's a rented audience. But your newsletter, you own that. You take that everywhere, okay? Now, obviously mine's probably gonna be better than most because this is what I sell as a service, email and SMS marketing, but every business can at least develop some leads from having a newsletter as long as you're posting consistently and continuously building and educating your audience. Highly, highly recommend it. Guys, I make these videos really just to document my own journey and provide tips to people. If you want to become a better email and SMS marketer, check out the link in the description to my school community. If you want a bit of like help and coaching with your agency as well, I'm actually doing a little bit of that with people. I just, sell my time for one-off calls. So if you want to learn all of my strategies and learn how to get an agency up to the size that I'm currently at, I can teach you all that stuff. Just book a call with me, link in the description. Thanks for watching. 2 videos every single week on this channel. So if you find this useful, awesome, subscribe, like, any comments, comment down below. I will answer all of your questions. I have time. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.